Good afternoon and welcome to my daily Facebook Live. If you haven't watched my broadcast before, my name is Barry Selby. That should be obvious from the fact that you've seen some of my business page or on my personal page, or on YouTube later on. To introduce myself off the top, let's start with this. My name is Barry Selby. I am a passionate champion of the divine feminine, which I'll get to in a moment. I'm also a best-selling author, speaker, and relationship attraction expert, helping strong, successful women find balance in love, life, and business. And I do these talks every day. This is messages from the masculine to inspire the feminine heart. This is number 265. Yes, 265 of these in a row. Well, 265 of these in a row. About 40 at the beginning, 20 at the beginning were weekly, now they're daily. So plenty of these every day. One every day at least. And I was thinking about doing a part 4. I just did parts 1, 2, and 3 about the abdication of men and the resolution and cure of that. And I was going to do another part today, thinking I'll do part 4 and I'll come up with something. But what was sitting with me this morning was reading some of the interviews and watching some of the video clips of interviews of the women from Black Panther. Now, if you haven't seen Black Panther yet, I highly recommend it. I saw it on Thursday. Thank you. I appreciate that, Janvi. Appreciate your feedback. I love the movie. I'm going to go see it again. And if you haven't seen Black Panther, I highly recommend it. It is, I've said to several people, it's my favorite and perhaps the best Marvel movie so far. But it's more than that. And the reason why I'm so appreciative of it, and I put it in the title, is about the respect for women as being one of the biggest surprises. Well, not surprises. I knew it was coming. It's in the movie. But one of the biggest surprises of the fact it was not a fanfare. It was just like, of course. And I want to speak to that a little bit about how that fictitious country has lessons for our factual environment, as it were. So let's play with this, shall we? The movie itself has many different layers and conversations, and it's not just a superhero against a supervillain type movie, which, for a change, is refreshing. And in fact, the content of the movie is so much more than that, including a lot of things about the African culture, about what if there was a culture within Africa that never got affected by colonialism or slavery, for example. So that's another piece which I'm not going to talk about because, one, I have the wrong skin color to talk about, perhaps. However, what I loved about it, I can speak about, is the polarity in the dance between the masculine and feminine roles in the movie, because that transcends color. It transcends a lot of things, actually, including continents. What I came away from with the movie, and I saw it going in because I did see a lot of previews, and frankly, I was so excited about the movie, I was watching every clip I could catch. So I already knew what was going to happen in the sense of the women in their roles in the movie. But there are certain vignettes and pieces, so if you haven't seen the movie, I might be doing some spoilers without realizing it, so bear with me. If you have seen the movie, let's play along. You're fourth generation from slavery, wow. Well, Janvi, I've always known you to be a very fierce and powerful woman of color, and I appreciate, respect, and love you dearly. So I'm grateful to know you as a friend, and to know that you come from that to beyond that. And yes, love black folks. I do too. I've got a lot of black friends, as it were. So in England, we don't call them African American, obviously. We don't call them African English. We call them black. That was the way I was raised. It's like, oh, just a different color, whoopee. And being raised Jewish, actually, I've put this in there. Being raised Jewish, especially at school, I found myself being one of the minorities, along with my friends from India, from Iran, well, from then Persia, and from African backgrounds. So even though I had this colored skin, internally my experience was similar, of having a sense of isolation and separation. And if you go back far enough, my race also my culture was dealt with slavery from the Egyptians. That's going way back now. Anyway, that wasn't what I planned on doing in this broadcast. Let me get back on track. I don't want to hijack it for something else. That could be a whole other conversation, not necessarily part of this theme. Since my theme is around the masculine and feminine polarity, I want to speak to that in context of the movie and its rendition and appreciation for women. That's where I'm going. So I appreciate your comments and questions along the way. If you haven't seen the movie, you may want to put your fingers in your ears at certain points, because I may say things about the movie, because there are two scenes I want to refer to especially, where if you haven't seen it, you might go, oh, we spoiled it. Well, sorry, but I want to make this point. The movie's been out for at least 4 days. You should have seen it by now. What I really loved about this movie, amongst many other things I liked a lot about the movie, was its way of portraying the women. And the one thing about it was that they portrayed women in different roles. And what I loved about it was, in this example of 4 different roles that I'm talking about in particular, there was such diversity within that, yet they were all still revered, respected, appreciated, and honoured, and had their own unique expression to play. So Angela Bassett as the Queen Mother had this her not regalness, her royalty and her monarchy very clear in her presence and how she presented herself, deep reverence and respect for her role and who she was in the movie, which is a vital part of our matriarchal eras. Put it that way. Now, being raised in England, again, referring back to my own upbringing, I was raised with a female monarch. And actually, some of my life as a female prime minister too, when Margaret Thatcher was in power. So having men or women in leadership was, in some ways, for me, like transparent. It didn't make a difference in that sense. I think nowadays, more than ever, it will make a difference. But that's another piece I may say for later in the broadcast. So, Angela Bassett is the mother. There's also Letitia Wright, is that her last name? The youngest of the characters, who played his kid sister, who was this genius. And it's funny, I've seen her interviewed, and she was born in Guyana. Maybe slipping up in these countries, but she was born in, as were, I think, 3 of the actors were born in Africa, but raised in America or Europe. And she was basically raised in London before she moved out of town. And so her accent just cracks me up because it's like my hometown sound, so it was really fun. But her role was also one of respect because she had the genius that others didn't have. And she did things where even Martin Freeman's character was in awe of her. This older white man looking at this younger black girl and going, she's a genius. And the respect was there. So again, the respect for women was in this movie in so many different ways. Now, the 2 main ones I want to talk about, of course, as you probably can guess, are the warrior and the spy. Or I should say, well, yeah, the warrior and the spy, that's the way of putting it. And those 2 roles in the movie, for me, were, yes, the sexiest, because they were the ones that had the most attractive energy about them, but the sexiest because they also carried such feminine power. And I say Angela Bassett, the Queen Mother, was benevolent and had this power, but it was very, in a way, subtle and downplayed. Well, thank you. I'm glad you saw the movie last night, so you won't get upset with any spoilers I drop on you. So I'm glad you liked it. And then Letitia as the younger character. They had power too, but differently. These 2 main focus characters, and I'm going to mess up the names, so I'm going to avoid using the names just to make it so I don't insult them by using the wrong names. But the 2 characters, Lupita's character and another name will come back to me in a second. Will come back to me. Those 2 characters were pivotal in the movie because of the roles they played. One being the leader of the armed forces of the King's Guard, which is amazing to have that place, and it was beautiful to watch. And also Lupita's role as the love interest and also a spy. So recognizing that women have this power range and deservedly so, was so rich and so wonderful to see. Okay, thank you. I know McCall has all the names written away. Thank you, McCall. I appreciate that. But there were certain scenes, let me try the scenes I want to talk about in particular. One scene, which is one of the funniest scenes in the movie, because Nakia, yes, thank you. Her character and her boyfriend in the movie, Boyane, David? No. Okay, I'm staying to the script, even though I can't remember. I should have a list of the names of the characters in front of me. But their interaction was very funny in the movie because as much as he was the leader of his tribe, she was the leader in her own right. And so it wasn't an up-down relationship. In fact, some ways it switched roles a couple of times. In particular, get into one of the scenes in particular, where they were fighting amongst the tribes in the land immediately outside the palace. And he was busy, David Boyane was riding the rhinoceros, because it was, and charging through and destroying people, knocking people down, and comes charging at her, and he's realizing what he's doing, which is his girlfriend, his dear love, standing in front of his charging beast he's riding, and he doesn't stop. The rhinoceros does. It basically stops in its tracks and licks her, like it totally has respect for her. And it was so cracking me up because it wasn't so much, that was funny in the moment, but the reality of what I felt is the power of the feminine in the world. There was such a deep respect that I felt through the director and through the writing of the movie that put them in these places. It was comical in the sense of humor, but at the same time, the animal chose respect for her. He would have done, but he was slow on the uptake. being what's going to say, being a stubborn man, as it were. Although he did get the hint pretty quickly. So there are different roles in the movie that were very powerful, and what I loved about it was, I won't say transparent, but it was almost like equal. Men and women were side by side in the fights, in the discussions, in the roles, and I know it's happening in future comic books, not in the movie, but there is a time during the Black Panther's lineage in the comic books where a woman takes over the role of the Black Panther. Because the Black Panther is not tied to him, it's tied to that hierarchy or that monarchy. But having said all this, to bring it back to what I was talking about now, is the possibility and the sense of excitement about what could happen in the real world. As much as I say, like, Wakanda's amazing, Wakanda forever, all that sort of thing, it's great to talk about. I love the sense of what's the word I'm looking for? The sense of wonder, but it's more than that. It's the sense of almost wishful thinking that we could be in that land. I mean, because I would love to, me personally, selfishly, I'd love to play there. It feels so raw, so real, and so respectful, because there's something about the ground and the land that was so told in the movie of the respect for the land, the culture, and the way it's interwoven, which we've lost over here, particularly. Respecting for the land, for working together, for the culture that was there between the men and the women and the different tribes, was a profound piece of this story. And the thing for me was, again, I don't want to get too far off track, so I want to stay about the respect for women being the piece, because that movie has so much more to it, and maybe I'll do another talk a couple of days about this. But I want to speak to this piece particularly because this is where the greatest opportunity for a takeaway for us to bring into the world, wishful thinking in the sense of hope and aspiration. Yeah, well, you got me there. I'd like to think, and I do think, that it's possible we can get there. I do believe it's possible we can have some change. There's so much happening right now in this very moment with the reaction to the shooting in Florida, with the kids marching I think marching on the Florida Capitol first, maybe on D.C. I believe what's coming, because the recognition is these teenagers who are walking and marching in protest about gun control are going to be voting in 2 years or 3 years. I hope those established, that's not the right word, that's too respectful, rigid is a better word, male leaders in DC are starting to recognize their time is coming to an end. Because it's time for that to shift. More women in leadership, more youthful energy in leadership absolutely is needed in this country, in this world. I was actually watching the replay of last week tonight. John Oliver just started again this past Sunday. And he was talking about how America is viewed around the world. And the approval rating or the respect for this country around the world has dropped dramatically in the last year. What a surprise. The biggest shift is countries are looking for leadership elsewhere in the world, are looking for other countries like China, like Germany and Europe, like other places too. And what's missing in this country is that sense of alignment to a truer message. Now, I don't want to get political because that's not my focus in these broadcasts, but what I do see as possibility is more feminine leadership, more feminine authority to be present in all areas of life. This country is sadly lacking and suffering at the hands of a very misogynistic and male-dominated leadership that isn't helping the country as a whole. And I firmly believe, me personally, as a man, I'll say this, that the men aren't the ones to run the show effectively, at least not on their own. As in the movie, there was, as much as he was the king, he would not and could not do it without his lieutenants, without his team, which is the women, his sister, his girlfriend, and these other players in that movie. This country, I believe, is in the same boat in terms of needing a masculine and feminine leadership energetic. And don't mean First Lady, that's not what it's about, although Michelle came close. But a sense of having that togetherness of the masculine and feminine leadership in every area, not just in corporate, not just in the political scene, but in maybe the world as well. This world has been set up and tilted towards a patriarchal leadership in every area of life. And I, for one, am kind of tired of it. I know the women are too. But the reaction to it may not be the right way. It's about bringing forward a better model, I believe, that the movie in some ways portrayed. So this isn't a political stand. This isn't a, what's the word I'm looking for? This isn't a call to action, but it's an invitation. So, Lords, what are you saying? Clark D. Schaefer on the subject of the Black Panther. You're telling him. Oh, okay. I was talking to me about that. I didn't realize. Yes. Okay. So, yes, again, the movie was amazing. I'm going to go see it again, definitely, at least one more time, because there's so much in it. This is one of the pieces in the movie I really took away, was the power and respect for women. And I think I'm going to leave it there at this point. There's more to talk about, I know, but I want to start this conversation rolling. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them below. I'd love to talk to you about it offline after this. If you are thinking maybe you should share this with somebody else or share it in other groups, please do. I welcome this to be viewed by more people, because who knows whose life can be changed by this message. If you haven't seen my broadcast before, I do these every day. This is number 265. Yes, 265, an ongoing series of daily talks called Messages from the Masculine to Inspire the Feminine Heart, and I hope this broadcast did contribute to that. All the women also had agency. Yeah, I didn't say it that way, but I think I mentioned it early on. Yes, the roles were definitely, that agency was important. So, agreed. What was I going? Yes. So this is my daily broadcast, usually about 10-15 minutes each. This one may have gone just a little bit longer because the topic had more juice to it and had more interaction. So thank you for participating, by the way. I appreciate the comments on screen, get a chance to respond and interact. It's more fun, because usually I talk to this visible audience that's not doing a thing. So thank you for being interactive. If you want to see my other broadcasts, there are plenty, say 264 before this. You can find these on my business page on Facebook, which is barryselby.author. I save them onto YouTube as well for later on. If you're a YouTube viewer, please watch them there and subscribe and check out there on my channel, which is Barry Selby. They're on the Messages from the Masculine playlist. And if you want to find out more about what I'm about, you can find them also on my website, which is barryselby.com. I have them on the video blog, but on my website is lots of other stuff, including my programs, my signature program, coaching, and other things too. If you want any help in this area of love and relationships, particularly as my focus, although feminine leadership is showing up as part of my coaching, I don't know why. I do actually. Please reach out to me over social media. And again, if you want to share this with some other people, please do so. As a reminder, every day I invite you to do this, which is to love yourself, respect yourself, appreciate yourself, because by doing so, you change your reality. And by doing so, you change the planet. Your part is additive to that. Take care of yourselves, as always. I'll be back in tomorrow with something new. Perhaps we'll see what happens. But I'll be back in tomorrow with some other broadcast. And thanks for watching. I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.